Okay, what we're going to talk about now is just to follow up on our last video about spurs. And before you ride your horse with spurs, it's very important that you condition and prepare your horse for that lateral movement off your leg, off your spur. The proper term is leg yield. I mean, he should leg yield. Well, for a lot of years, guys just got up there and and they still do a lot, just pound on their horse with their spur to get him to move over. Well, I can't emphasize to you enough that your horse will only be polite if you're polite. That he will not politely do anything if you're impolite in what you do. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to politely ask your horse to step over in leg yield without responding to fear or to pain, and not give resistance. So this is a process that takes a little time, it takes a little patience, but it's certainly worth your effort. So our ultimate goal is when we're done here, we're going to mount the horse and then we're going to move him along and do half pass. We're going to sidestep him or side pass him to open and close a gate. These are things that are very important. Like if you're going to an obstacle and he wants to cheat around that obstacle, I want to be able to take my leg and guide him and not just steer him with my hands. I want to be able to guide him through and square him up to go straight and to ride straight. So as I ride him, I'm using my legs to do that primarily. Something that's terribly misunderstood about spurs: they're not on your boot as a weapon. They're not there to get his attention. They're not there to do anything but to guide your horse. When you ride gracefully and properly and classically, you're guiding your horse with your spur in your leg. Now, sometimes it's unavoidable, and it happens, that you need to use your spurs and legs to engage impulsion, which is forward motion. It's unavoidable, and sometimes you have to do it, but it's not totally necessary all the time. Primarily what you should use that spur for is to guide your horse. Sometimes you have to use it to create impulsion. I understand it's unavoidable, but if that horse is conditioned properly, you shouldn't have to do that a lot. So I've got a little stick here. It's about 4 feet long, I'd say 3.5 feet. And if you look on the end of it, I've got a little piece of surgical tubing I put on there. Okay, so it's not sharp, just a nice, soft, dull point on there. You got that, Brandon? Okay. And now we're doing this after we've worked with this horse in the round pen, and we've got him conditioned to the stick and the flag, and he's moving laterally off my other stick with the flag on it. So, you know, I've got him to where he's not afraid of my tools, okay? So that's step one. That's in the series of videos before this. Is just get him to where he is acquainted with my tools. Now, if I come out here and I'm trying to get him set up for leg yields and he's not familiar with my tools, that tells me we got to back up. We got to maybe do a little more homework. So, as we move our horse around, step over here, Brandon. We're going to take our stick, and you got 3 spur spots on a horse's side, okay? So your girth is going to be right here, let's say. And it's really taboo in my opinion. So right here you'll have your back girth will be about here, and your front girth is here. I don't want to see you spurring outside of those 2 girths, okay? I want you working your horse in this area right here, okay? And the least little bit, a 3/8 of an inch makes a difference of your leg placement. So we've got spur placement I call 1, which would be about right in here, 2, and 3. Okay, so we want to take our leg and we want to move his hips. See, now with Petey, all I got to do almost is think about it, and he's going to do it. Okay, if I just touch his hair, see, he moves his hip. All right, now if I take my stick, pretending this is my leg and spur, okay, So I'm going to put my leg on him first, and then I'm going to reinforce with my spur. See how he'll move his shoulder now? Okay. So then I take position 1, position 3, I split the difference, and I move all 4. See how all 4 feet now move in a lateral way? Okay. Every horse is a little different. So what you're going to want to do is, when you get on your horse, you get your leg and you move it back and forth, and you feel where his spots are. Okay? So you accomplish this standing still. Okay? That I can sit on his back and I can move him with my leg different parts of his body. Okay? So as we're conditioning him for spurs, we're getting him used to being touched, okay, in all these areas. And if he flinches and he acts anxious about that, well, that tells us we got to back up and do our homework a little bit. He needs to be comfortable with that. People say to me, oh, I would never ride a horse with spurs. Oh, if I rode my horse with spurs, he'd buck me off. I said, well, if you used your spurs wrong, I don't blame him. I'd probably buck you off too. We just look at it, if you don't wear spurs, it's just like going to town and not wearing a brassiere or something. You're not fully dressed, and you're not appropriately tacked, and you're not doing things right. If you're going to be a horseman, you need to wear spurs. But you got to know how to use them. All right? Where if I come here and I slap him on the side and move him over, that doesn't get us anywhere. I want to be able to just touch his hair, move him, just touching his hair. Okay? Well, when I ride him, that's how I'm going to ride him. I'm going to use my leg as softly as I've used this tip of this stick. I'm not going to get up there and ride that horse with continuous pressure on his sides. So that's why when you ride, you've got to ride with a flat leg. Put weight in your stirrups. You know, some people are riding with their toes out all the time. Well, what that's doing is giving him a signal then to go left and right at the same time. Where if I'm riding with my legs flat and my toes pointing straight, and then I turn my toe out. So if I want to go this way, I relax my inside leg, turn my outside toe out, and if my leg's forward, I'll move his shoulder. My leg's back, I move his hip. I'm in the middle, I move all 4. So when I'm riding him, I'm thinking about that. I'm going to move him laterally, back and forth, and back and forth. I'm going to take my chin and I'm going to point where I'm going. Okay? When I do that, my legs rotate my pelvis underneath me, and he feels my legs shift back and forth like that. It's like a rudder on a boat, and we're moving him like this. Okay? And we're doing that at a walk and a trot first. We're not going to try that cantering for a while. Well, you'll get to the point where if you do that correctly, and I'm going to show you here in the next few videos, that if you do that correctly, he'll go where you look. You take your chin and you point. Your pelvis rotates. Okay? But when that happens, your legs are shifting. Well, if I feel brace and he's stiff up under me, I'm going to take my spur and I'm just going to touch him on the side and move him over. Like this. Okay? I'm not going to pound him. I'm going to just touch him. And I'm going to hold that spur. Okay? So say if he gives me resistance, okay, I'm going to take and hold that pressure till he moves. Well, when I first do this with a green horse, sometimes I've got to hold for a couple minutes. Just hold that stick like that. Then when I release when he yields. I release when he yields. Okay. Now, Petey makes this look easy, but when you start with a kind of a half-done backyard horse that somebody's been riding just like a passenger, okay, this gets tough because when I touch him, a lot of times he's going to push toward me, okay? So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to ask him while he's walking at first, okay, because that's easier for him. He can put that together, even if he's been nowhere, he can put that one together pretty good. So then I'm going to move my stick forward, I'm going to move his shoulder, move my stick back, I'm going to move his hip around, okay? There, it's like that. Then I'm going to come over to the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing. Okay? So just work with your horse like that, and don't get on his back, and don't use your spurs until we get this worked out first. Because basically all you're going to do is get on his back and quarrel with him on his back and get him to resent your leg. And what you never want to do, and we've learned this the hard way here, is you don't want to punish your horse with one of his aids. So I don't want to punish him with that spur. You know, I don't want to punish him with this tool that he's supposed to accept and enjoy, to be worked with. So, you know, years ago we used to kind of spur on our horses a little bit to punish them or correct them, but I've kind of got to where I don't think that's appropriate anymore. I think that that should be a welcome thing, and that should be something that's used in a way to obtain graceful movement and harmony between rider and horse. So with that all said, I feel that that'll get you started on your spurs. If anybody has any questions, you're welcome to make comments or email me. It's a vast subject. You know, we didn't even get into English style spurs. Maybe we'll do a video on that here one day. But the main thing is, make sure if you turn your leg out, turn your toe out, you don't want that spur touching your horse. You want your leg to touch first, and then reach with that spur to move him over. And if you take that approach and try to do it softer every time, next thing you know, he'll do it if you think about it.